Well, how's it going, guys? Dom here with Dom's Vlogs, and today, let's move the chair a little bit. Today, we're going to be doing another Mystery Scenes month, or day, as it comes, because it is every Wednesday. This is the series, again, where we take a look at a scene, and we think of, like, it's so odd that there is no explanation for it, which is why I want to take a look at one of the Indiana Jones series. Indiana Jones has become one of the biggest popular franchises for a long time. Mostly the three, but not Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because that was a bad movie. But today I want to look at The Last Crusade. Released in 1989, May 24th, 1989, Steven Spielberg is back in the director's chair to put another story on Indiana Jones, rescuing his father, but also finding the Holy Grail. Yeah, that's one thing that people have never found, and yet the Reich itself in World War II, yes, this is World War II stuff we're talking about, is trying to find the Holy Grail so that, you know, Adolf himself would go have it and actually have ultimate power over it, probably. I don't even know what the whole thing's about. It's been a long time since I've seen the movie, but I've seen it a couple of times enough. It's a great movie. I love it a lot. It's one of the fun movies. But one of the scenes I want to talk about is Indiana Jones meeting the Führer himself, Adolf Hitler. Now, it's hard for me to even explain me talking about this scene because we're talking about one of the people who created World War II, created the Reich, you know, leaded the Nazi party, killed a bunch of... Let's not talk about it because I know it's a very deep subject. I mean, if we were talking about World War II, we would be talking about it. If I was, you know, pissed off at someone here, like, oh, I don't know, President of the United States, but let's just talk about the scene where Indiana Jones meets him. So Indiana Jones had to be disguised as one of the Nazi, I would say panzer units, but more basic Nazi soldier, to get his father's book back by Elsa in the movie. Yes, there's a girl named Elsa. Not the Disney character, but you know what I mean. After a big, rough conversation with her, he gets the book back, but except is pretty much stopped by a bunch of autograph signers because everybody wanted his, the Führer's autograph. So Indiana Jones and the Führer meet each other. Now, I don't know why I keep calling him that, but, you know, he was called that. But they look face to face. Indiana Jones has that type of fear factor because he's looking at the man that started this war for the very first time, and you know Hitler himself, you know, he doesn't give a damn. He's got that straight face. He takes the book, looks, and Indiana Jones tries to create that straight face that, you know, any Nazi person would do. So Hitler opens the book, asks for a pen with his hand, you know, hand gestures, signs his name, closes the book, gives it back to Indy, and that's it. And he just walks by. So that's a big question here that I want to talk about. So let's talk about it. Yeah, it's a very bizarre scene. And the fact that it's really, really awkward for me shows me that this is a very bizarre scene for me to actually talk about because I think Adolf Hitler in this movie knows that that was Indiana Jones. Now, for me, like anybody would say, like, oh, it's impossible. This was back during the 1930s and 40s. This was during the time when World War II was either at its end or was at its middle of its end. You know, so, and not only that, there is no, like, how can newspapers fly into, like, you know, the territory? How can any newspapers of pictures of Indiana Jones would, you know, get into Adolf's hands, you know? Like, how can he... I doubt that he even reads newspapers, that people might say. Like, just hear me out, is the way that they stare at each other. Indiana Jones has that fear factor, while Hitler's probably thinking of, are you really one of my soldiers? Or are you the Indiana Jones that stopped me from having the Ark of the Covenant? Which is basically what happened in the first movie. So after Adolf takes the book, he actually, like, most people could say, like, oh, he didn't really thought that that was Indiana Jones. But when you look at his eyes in the movie, it's like he thinks it's Indy. And that's why I want to talk about that subject more than like, he doesn't know that it's Indy. But the more questions that people say is like, if he thinks that's Indiana Jones and he actually does think it's Indiana Jones, why not capture him? Why not put him in a prison camp with his father? Why not do that? Why not take the book back? That's because I think Adolf in this one wanted the challenge. The fact that he wanted a bigger challenge for himself showed me that he can lose faster. I mean, let's face it, he lost World War II, and for most of people's eyes, most people are still conspiring about it, but he died, he died. I doubt he'd be alive today. I mean, he must have been very old at the time of World War II. But not only that, if I have to go completely even further into this part here, he wanted the challenge, but he also wanted to give Indiana Jones a little bit of a chance. He wanted to create a fair fight for him. Let's face it, back in the times of like World War II, where Hitler himself wouldn't want to give anybody a chance, he gave people a chance during sports, in the Olympic Games. He also gave people a chance of playing a piano, and if they actually play it nice, they could go back to where they want. No dying, no nothing. That's the real Adolf. So this kind of contradicts the kind of like personality very well. And he doesn't even speak a line. I mean, all he does is just walk. He moves around, he's got that face, but he's not. I mean, he's a character in this film. We know the real one, but we're talking about the character version of him. He quite literally is just saying to himself, I'm gonna give this guy a chance. See if he can get the Grail before my army does. And he just signs the book, probably saying, if I don't get the Grail back, here's my name. There you go. Like, he gave it a chance here for some reason. Now, I'm not agreeing to all this, people. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Call of Duty World at War and World War II weaponry and the World War II history, but I'm not into the Nazi propaganda and stuff. I never was. I know people get offended by that. I'm an American. I'm always going to be an American. America is always what I want. But I had to talk about this because I think nobody's ever talked about that. Ever. In all my life, I've never heard anybody talk about this type of subject. I'm sure people made jokes about it, but even for me, nobody's really looked at this carefully. I mean, you could make a bunch of predictions with, like, I don't know, the Grease ending, where, like, sure, Sandy and the others are dead. With this one, it's so stuck into that type that you have to focus more on the body language than you are focusing more on the people just talking out of the blue. It gives people more time to think about questions. And that's kind of like what I think The Last Crusade was with that. It's just mostly talking and stuff. I mean, I still have other questions too, like why did Elsa, join the Nazi propaganda in the first place if she doesn't like the swastika and believes more about the cross? I think even God himself would say, bitch, you need help. And that's one thing. I mean, who gives a damn what she thinks? I think Indiana Jones made the right choice to just get the book and almost felt like she was going to choke her to death. I wouldn't have done the same thing. But even for her, she was right. She would scream and Nazis would come in. The soldiers would come in, capture Indy. Simple as that. I mean, they're in enemy territory. And that's the scary thought, is being in enemy territory and you're disguised as a soldier during World War II in Germany. And it's scary. I mean, probably most people in American, France, like the forces that are joining to stop the Nazi propaganda and stuff, that have these clothes on just to spy on people, they would be disgusted. I would be disgusted. I mean, I'm like, ugh, why am I even dressed in this? Like, I'm jumping out of conclusion here. I'm surprised that I'm even talking about this type of subject. It's very dark. But yeah, I mean, like, again, he probably knew, gave him a chance, and that was it. He never even said anything. Probably because he didn't want to cause a big scene. And, I mean, the only thing that was causing more of a bigger scene was, you know, Indiana Jones's father. His father is pretty much a wanted man in Germany. So he's all over the newspapers. And that's why Indiana Jones, you know, tries to help him out. And even for the fact that he speaks German, he's well good at blending in, which is nice. There's still some good comedy scenes. There are even some good action. There's a lot of good effects, and this movie is so good. It's better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I mean, good God, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull focused way too much on the CG, and character-wise, the story just doesn't make any sense. I think Indiana Jones, like Harrison Ford himself, who played Indiana Jones, like what, 4 times in these movies, has still done a good job at his old age in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but I mean that's not enough to save that movie. Temple of Doom, I mean, I've watched that thing like God knows how many times when I was young. Like when I was young, Indiana Jones was my thing. I always liked him with the whip, you know, and I never quite looked at the other two. The first one, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and The Last Crusade. Which are the 2 best? Well, Temple of Doom just gets stuck in the middle, while Kingdom of the Crystal Skull gets all that flack. Which, I can understand with the flack on this one. Temple of Doom just focuses more on the cultures of India, and pretty much the disturbing cultures of India. While Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade focus more on World War II, and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull focuses more on the Cold War and this Area 51 conspiracies, like with the aliens. But even I thought that was just a very silly one. I can understand the Cold War for Indiana Jones, but fucking aliens? Come on. I don't know who thought of that idea. I might search it up, but I doubt I will get any information. My phone's in the back, so I can't really do nothing about it. I mean, for the fact is that this scene has probably sparked me with a lot of questions, and probably a lot of questions for most of you. Now, for commenters, in my own videos, I will block you if you do any Nazi propaganda. I'm not joking. I do not like Nazi propaganda. I think it's one of the stupidest things that I've ever seen here. I hate propaganda. I never liked it. I can understand it was helping the war effort, but I don't like propaganda. So, no propagandas for World War II in the comments section, please. But I do like your questions on what do you think of the scene of Indiana Jones meeting Adolf Hitler for the first time. What do you think of that scene? Do you think there's a mystery behind the reason why he wasn't captured by him? Or maybe there is a reason, or maybe there was no reason about it, you know? They just went out the blue. They just didn't really know. Like, just tell me your reasonings here. Was there a point of it, or was there no point of it? For me, I think there was a point of it, you know? But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you can. And for the next scene, well, it's basically 2 Three Stooges episodes, and one by, I forgot this other comedian, but it focuses on one woman and one dress. See you next time.